Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. Today's video is quite a special one as it features my favorite comp, or at least the comp that I kind of popularized, which is Worm Wasp. Now I'll be playing against none other than the 501 GOAT, Sacco. He is undoubtedly one of the best players in the game, consistently top 5 world, and often sitting around 2.5k MMR, so yeah, he is a scary opponent to face. Now, going back to the Worm Wasp build, I haven't been playing, or I haven't been running, my usual like hyper carry Wasp techs. I have decided to ditch the high explosive, ditch the elite, and now I'm running range, ground spec, AA, and shield. And the main reason is they nerfed improved Wasp, and to be honest, I was struggling a lot trying to force that comp to work. Yes, sometimes it could work, and of course, it was very satisfying when you did, but man, I just couldn't get it to do anything consistently if my opponents knew what they were doing and they just bought Fortress AA really early alongside with some Mustangs. And yeah, kind of giving up the shield for that didn't seem like it was worth it. So I went back to running shield, which is also actually kind of helpful against Fort AA. And I'm running ground spec because trying to kill giants without that tech is honestly really hard to do. Anyway, we start with a Sledgehammer opener here and the arc lights, and I'm a quick supply specialist, so I decide why not run a quad sledge opener. So that is what the board is going to look like. My opponent is a Rhino specialist. He started with Fangs and Storms, and he purchased 2 arc lights, which is a very sensible thing to do. Just buying some chaff clear, which is the one thing he didn't have. However, I don't really have chaff. Instead, I have 4 tanks right now running at him full speed. And this is such a scary opener to face because there aren't many openers that can contest this. And this one that he has is definitely one of the worst to play into it because, as you can see, he kills barely anything and he takes almost 1,000 damage there on round 1. Quick supply can do some scary stuff on round 1, and well, this kind of shows you how that looks like. Now, round number 2, we immediately get unit reinforcements, and here I'm thinking, okay, I could go double crawler because, well, that's what I'm missing right now. I don't have any chaff, but my opponent gets a wasp, and I kind of know he's gonna pick it because it's hard for me to deal with, right? Now, what I could do is pick up double crawler and then buy 1 Mustang, let's say, and maybe another crawler. That would have been a fine play, but I kind of felt like going into Wasp myself, and I also wasn't necessarily feeling the need to get level 2 crawlers. If these were level 1, then maybe I might pick them, but I wasn't really feeling this one, I have to say. And so instead, we're going to go for the Wasp pickup, and then we're going to buy another Wasp immediately. And we'll still have 100 left to buy 1 chaff unit. So I'm going to slowly start building my chaff here, but instead I'm going to be using Wasps as well, which can be considered chaff too, right? And on top of that, I'm going to decide to go for the defense enhancement as I think it is pretty useful overall. I have a lot of kind of semi-tanky units, so grabbing that seemed like the right move. Opponent's, by the way, gonna go for a tempo missile here on round 1. Sells out of Storm, and that means that he's able to now buy a Scorpion on the round immediately on the right side. And I think this is a good move from him because he realizes that he can't let this get out of control whatsoever, because if he loses any more rounds like that, it's gonna be a very bad time for him. The Wasps are doing whatever they can to try and get rid of this Scorpion, but it is awfully tanky, and well, now they're getting flanked from the side by those Wasps from Sacco. And it means that we are probably going to be losing this round, as his units are now moving into my tower, and they should get a debuff. There's also a ton of Fangs on the board, and so yeah, my Wasps don't really stand a chance. So a very nice recovery there from my opponent, and he manages to kind of stem the bleeding there. And now round number 3. We get not really the most interesting things. I mean, Advanced Shield Device here could be a fine pickup. It is a very good card down the line. Redeploy is okay, but I don't think I can make much use out of it. So I just decide to skip. And, well, then we are going to try and get into the immediate Stormcallers here. I need something that can deal damage against the Scorpions. And, well, they are big targets. They're slow. They're easy to hit. And the same thing can be said somewhat about those Fangs. So Stormcallers here make a lot of sense. And AP has been looking mighty strong overall. So don't mind teching that immediately and kind of get some quick DPS on my board against this this heavy ground-based board from my opponent. I also pick up another Crawler because we need to slowly start building a little bit of chaff, right? I don't need that much, but maybe getting slowly towards the 3 to 5 chaff mark would be a good idea. Stormcallers, I would say, are hitting pretty nicely already. Locked onto the arc light, that should fall pretty quick. And then, yeah, also locking onto that Scorpion on the left, so that's going to die fast. One in the middle here, one salvo. Almost going to be enough to take it down. There it goes. I think this one will be safe. There are still quite a few Fangs on that right side, but I think with this Stormcaller play, we might have managed to grab another round for ourselves. We get a debuff, not the best timing, I would say. Not much that we can do with that. Stormcallers will try and lock on. Can they kill this Scorpion? It's moving in closer and closer, taking out even more Stormcallers there, and actually, maybe this Scorpion can clutch up. Very bad debuff timer for us there. And yeah, this clump is not looking good whatsoever. Uh-oh. I can already see the disaster shot. There it goes. Oh, yeah, not what you want to see. And, well, never mind about that round win. It's going to be Sacco's to take. Now, round number 4, Missile Strike shows up. Both of us will pick it. And not really what I want to see, because there are a lot of things to hit on my board between the Stormcallers and also these Wasps. And I felt like I couldn't really afford to let any of my Stormcallers die, because they have a very important role right now. The Sledgehammers are kind of just there to tank and stall, whilst the Stormcallers are the heroes, right? They're also the ones that are killing the Fangs for the most part. So I can't really allow him to get those missile strikes to hit. And so I decide to go for 2 shields, 2 more Stormcallers, and then a 3rd Crawler pack. Lucky for me, he does seem to try and hit my Stormcallers, so my Wasps should be safe. And Sacco this round will get access to his Rhino Specialist. Looks like he does respect that missile strike, and seems to be going for a beacon there. And then apart from that, we have another Scorpion picked up, as well as some chaff and then range on the Scorpions already. And so this is where I start to think, okay, his board is very, very heavily invested on the ground. So my Stormcallers are already quite useful, and yes, I have invested, I mean, a decent amount into Sledgehammers, although I haven't teched them, but now my opponent has started to tech into the Scorpions, and that might allow me to kind of start punishing him by, for instance, going into the air. I already have 2 Wasp packs. They might level, and then if I just tech them with something like range and buy 2 more, I might be able to just get around for myself and kind of start scaling a Wasp board while he doesn't have any real counterplay yet. Storms here will be hitting nicely. I will lose a shield sadly, and somehow, some way, my Wasps manage to die as his Wasps take over. Hopefully we get to keep this shield, because I would be very sad if it goes down. Scorp moving in closer. I do get the debuff. These AP Storms are gonna be killing his Scorpion. How much time do we have left? Some of these Wasps are not locked onto the shield, luckily. And it does seem like at the speed at which it's going, we should keep it. So, saving grace there. We don't quite win the air fight, but at the very least, we don't lose too many more resources. And so that will be the conclusion of round number 4. And now we get efficient tech research, which is not necessarily that bad. There is an enhancement module offered. For me, I didn't feel like it was very worth picking up. I could sell some storms and like replace them, but it's not the biggest amount of money. And so I just decide to skip here, I believe. Or I take the efficient tech research, never mind. Since if I want to go into Wasp, I kind of know that I'll have to tech many units. And now my opponent, he levels a Scorpion, sells it, and then moves the item to get another free level. And he picks up a second tech with Siege mode right now. And yeah, seeing that, I am very, very happy with my choice of going for 2 more Elite Recruited Wasp and also grabbing that range enhancement. Because he just invested even more money, right? 500 into that second tech, and it's not going to be doing much of anything against a board that I'm now kind of trying to turn into a Wasp carry board. And yeah, these Wasps right now, they should just crush. My opponent did add another Wasp pack, I believe, but it's going to simply get outranged. And with that, we should pick up a nice round victory. And hopefully we can just kind of keep up the pressure with some tempo plays. And there we go, Wasps farming nicely. The one remaining level 1 Wasp is going to be able to level up. One of the level 2s even managing to level. And we might even have a third pack leveling up, I'm not entirely sure. There are a lot of Wasps here from different packs mixed together, so it's always a bit hard to tell. And we even managed to keep the shield. Yeah, okay, so only one level 2 leveling. Now, round number 6, additional deployment slot shows up. And immediately here, I know what's coming. He's going to pick additional deployment slot. He's going to buy 4 Mustangs if he can and pick up the range enhancement because that is the logical play against someone who just went quad Wasp with a tech. Mustang is the kind of key counter to that. Another option could be something like Fort AA off bat, but it's not the best into these AP storms. So yeah, with the additional deployment slot being offered, I was pretty confident that this was going to be the play. And even then, what I go for also would work pretty nicely into Fortress AA because I decided to go for double Wraith, level 2, and then I'm going to plan on clicking armor enhancement. I also picked up a heavy armor, which is a very nice item for us. And that should just allow us to get another round win in and kind of stay ahead by 1 turn. Also, our opponent is starting to get low. If we can do about, another 1,000 damage here, then we're within a round or 2 from winning the match. Opponent loaning here, by the way, it seems. Not sure why it looks like he's loaning, but that must be some sort of a visual bug. Goes for the temp range instead. And yeah, I decided to go for the double Wraith. I'm also selling out of my Sledgehammers now, I believe, as, well, they are just completely getting obliterated by these Siege Mode Scorpions. But as you can see, the Mustangs aren't quite able to do much of anything as they are all locked on to my Wraith. So very happy with that prediction here, and it should yield a fair amount of damage. Scorpions are going to be able to take out some of the Stormcallers though, so that'll at least mitigate the damage somewhat. But a very nice round. And that's going to send the opponent down to even sub 1,000, 728. So within 1 round of winning potentially. Now round number 7 we get unit drops. This one I wasn't too happy with because opponent gets a melting point, which is of course the best thing here to buy into the Wraith. I was hoping that I would maybe get a Sandworm to trade off, but I'll have to buy them myself, and so with that in mind, the thing that's worth the most here is going to be that Sabertooth. We take it, we sell it, we make 600 profit, and that is enough to buy at least 3 Sandworms here, level 1 with the Sandstorm. And the reason that I go this is to try and reduce the range, obviously, on the Mustang, and also reduce the range on the Melter, so that hopefully my Wraith stays alive for a little bit longer. Because aside from tanking, the Wraith also has a job of chaff clearing here. My Wasps don't have high explosive on the bar, so they are not going to be chaff clear units. They're single target DPS, they can't splash, they have 0 meters of splash. So yeah, the Wraith is rather important to get rid of some of these Fangs, and even some Mustangs, so that the Wasps can hit the important targets. Now, I know my opponent has Missile Strike available once more, and so here I was wondering what exactly do I want to go for. And I decided to go for the Energy Shield, because I felt like I really couldn't lose one of my important Wasp packs here. I don't know if he's going to use it kind of safely onto one of these Wasps on the left, or if he's going to use it on my big Wasp pack. I could try and maybe Beacon, but I didn't want to take the risk. I think an alternative play, though, could have been to go Ground Spec, as I was expecting him to go Melting Point, and at that stage, he does have a lot of very, very beefy ground-based targets. So maybe that could have been a play, and then I perhaps could have found some money with the loan to get a mobile beacon. As you can see, though, right side is not doing too poorly. We are managing to at least take down the Melter, but yeah, still a little bit tough. Melter left side is twice as tanky. It is level 2. At least the Storms will be able to connect and deal some damage, but doesn't seem that great. I will say the shields are doing kind of fine into these Mustangs, allowing me to get close to the tower, even grab a debuff. And even though it doesn't look like we're going to win the round, we have managed to at least, well, mitigate the damage somewhat. Can we take down this Scorpion? I doubt we would. No ground spec on the bar just yet, and so yeah, the Mustangs will finish off the remaining Wasp packs. And so now I really need ground specialization. I have realized that I can't deal with these bigger units without it, and it's a must-have. Round number 8, Ion Blast shows up. Of course, both of us will go for it. I think this spell is slightly better for me because it is harder for him to hit my important units, as I am the one moving in, and I have a lot of fast-moving targets. Keep in mind, he is making some profit here with that enhancement module, kind of bouncing it around. And now it finds its way onto a Melter for a free 200 cost level up. I decided to missile both of the crawlers here, by the way, because I want my Sandworms, if possible, to kind of get their Sandstorms further in the back of his board so that it perhaps hits some of these Mustangs. Speaking of which, the Mustangs now have access to aerial specialization, so they're going to be much, much better against the Wasps. But I have managed to get a third tech, right? Ground specialization has now been clicked. We are, of course, loaning. Temp range is a must-have in this scenario. And I don't think I need to shield. I can lose some Storms here. That's completely fine. I mean, in fact, the left one didn't do anything last round. So, yeah, it's mostly going to be about the Wasps in this case. Opponent does shield. And looks like we'll even be able to hit at least part of the Melter there that's been added. Kind of a fortunate little situation. Gonna chunk it down to half. That might make it easier for the Sandworm to kill it. Here it goes. Going in. And yeah, that's a very nice mobile beacon. Managing to get that Sandstorm right on top of the Mustangs. Although the Mustangs, most of them seem to have been scorched in that ion beam. Left side, though, certainly struggling as there is an onslaught of Mustangs and the melting points are still full health. And even though the right side looked fine, we haven't managed to keep that many Wasps alive, and we still have to kind of bridge the gap, get rid of the Mustangs, and then start working away at those melting points. I still have the AP Storms, though, which are very good into Giants, so maybe we can soften the blow, but yeah, it doesn't seem like we're going to be winning this. If I can take down one of the melting points, I'd be very happy, but right now, those Mustangs are proving awfully difficult. And it is going to be a round loss, so a little bit scary. as that was a round where we did get a pretty good spell, but still nowhere near closing out the game. Round number 9, I decided to pick up a laser sight here. Just makes sense onto our biggest wasp. Opponent picks it up as well, sells out of the enhancement module melter. And I decide to go for multiple more sandworms here. This is something that I really think is important when you're doing this type of carry wasp type deal, where you have late sandworms coming in to kind of refresh the sandstorm and make sure that those units from the opponent are kept kind of low on their range, right? Because otherwise you will never be able to contest the Mustang. They are simply way higher range than the Wasps ever will be. I also go for Mechanical Division. I think this is the best tech on Sandworms, period. It is so cheap at only 100, so I'm able to purchase it here for insanely cheap, right? Only 250, I believe, because we have that efficient tech research, which is criminal. And considering we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sandworms, that's going to produce 24 larvae upon death, which are going to be annoying these melters and mustangs even more. Opponent goes for 2 very interesting crawler flanks here on the sides, which might be a bit annoying because I have these Wraith going forward, but the Wasps are being delayed somewhat. And of course I kind of need both of them to link up because, well, the Wraith is supposed to chaff clear, but it's not supposed to deal damage. That's what the Wasps are here to do. Alright, we are losing some of our worms, but again, we do have the Mechanical Division spawning larvae. And still, the late worms are now kind of starting to arrive and apply their own sandstorms. You can see one moving in here on the left. And on the right, I think all the sandworms have died, but the larvae are still truly alive. As most of the mustangs seem to have perished. And now these Stormcallers just get to hit the melters full on. And with that amount of melters left alive, and all of the small sandworms, the larvae there, popping out of the ground, we will actually be able to win the game. Very happy with this one, as I don't get to play this often, but it was nice to pull it off once more. I think it was very viable in this specific case, because of course we went for the quad sledge opener, opponent went for early Scorp, teched it, and then we were like, alright, we've got these Stormcallers in there to help us out as well, and then because he's so heavily invested in the ground, we can probably kind of get ahead and close out the game before things get too scary. It did get a little bit iffy in the mid game, I would say. We managed to close it out finally by just buying more sandworms, but yeah, this got dicey for sure, and my opponent was starting to make a lot of profit with that enhancement module. I believe that the way that he could win this round is with the EMP arc lights. I could try it. I did try it myself before. Sacco was like kind enough to tell me what the exact sequence was, but I didn't quite manage to replicate it when I tried it myself. So I think here we might just want to skip. Well, I guess laser sight is probably the best. And then sell the melter, most likely, and then level this. We might want to loan. Temp range is going to be important, naturally. And then I believe what he did is go range and EMP on the arc lights. The reason for this is because he needs to turn off that Mechanical Division. Now, this is kind of a crazy read, right? To make, because I didn't have Mechanical Division yet. And EMP doesn't do anything against Sandstorm. The Sandstorm just triggers before the EMP can do much of anything. But it is kind of the one way that he loses the game. So in that sense, it might not be the craziest read ever. I think leveling this makes a lot of sense. We probably want the second attack enhancement. Maybe we want to try and missile this crawler. Missiling that one could be decent too. And then we still have this little guy. Let's put it on our highest level Mustangs maybe. And then I wonder, I guess we have this mobile beacon to take care of still. And then we still are floating 200. Not entirely sure what we should be doing with that. I guess we could try and level up a melter. Might not be the worst idea. Just a little bit more tankiness. Let's see. I didn't manage to make this work when I tried it. Trying to missile here just to make it perhaps lock onto the Wraith. Okay, yeah, that's not too bad. We don't have a melter on this side, sadly, though. That's not ideal. Maybe I should have just purchased one more melter instead of having this happen. Yeah, that's not ideal. As you can see, though, it is rather tricky. Even when you do know what to do, this comp can get out of control. Okay, but we have managed to win the left side at the very least. I still have a pack of Mustangs here that seems somewhat safe. Tower starting to get a little bit precarious, though. And still there's a Sandworm left, but this Melter might be able to do something. Ooh, okay, not quite. Alright, I think if I put a Melter here, then it might be able to survive. Apologies if this is something that you're totally not interested in. But I kind of want to try and make it work now. So, sell the Melter, put this on there, level that for free, do this. Range, EMP Arclight. I guess we do want a Melter over here. I think Tower Attack 2 is very important. And then Arclight, Arclight. Put one here on the right side, put one over here, maybe one in the middle if we can afford to. I do think that the 2 missiles were very useful, so I'm going to keep doing those. Now, especially that I have this Melter kind of over here to try and lock onto that Wraith. And then let's level up this guy, and let's see which one of you... Okay, I don't have the stats. I guess you will be the beneficiary of the level. Let's see. It's a tricky board, though. That is for certain. How much can the Melter do? It softens up one of those dudes. It does lock onto the Wraith there. It should be in a better spot to be able to lock onto this guy. Will do so. I think that's already a massive improvement from last time. Although I say that, the sandstorms are creating some real trouble still on the left side, and actually it's looking worse than it was before. How does that happen? But the right side is now crushing. This Wraith, though, somehow manages to just keep surviving. And it's another loss again. I don't know how Sacco pulled this off. I do know that he managed to, like, get a round win with, like, almost 2k damage, but I can't for the life of me find the right setup for it. I do know that EMP Arclight was the play, and he went for attack enhancement too, but I don't know about the positioning here. I guess maybe if you put this Melter further up front, it could lock onto the Wraith. I don't know. Either way, if you like this video, leave a thumbs up and let me know what you think about this comp down in the comments below. If you want to see me play live, please check me out on Twitch. And if you want to stay up to date with my latest content, please consider subscribing. With that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.